All right, hello. Welcome to another edition of the Plus One interview. I have with me WEEI writer, he covers the Celtics, Mr. Josue Pavon. Welcome back, sir.
What's going on, man?
Hi, man. How are you?
I'm good. You guys good over there? Getting ready for the storm?
Yeah, I'm ready for it. I'm ready for it. All right, it's almost All-Star break is coming up, man. This team. First of all, what do you think so far? There's a lot been going on for this team we got to talk about. So let's talk about their play while going into the All-Star weekend. What do you think so far? What's been your assessment of the team?
They chopped the ball, man. I hate to say it, because you saw this momentum. It looked like this stretch where we've been looking for this inevitable turning point, and I thought that we were in the midst of it. They won 9 out of 10. That one loss being against the champion Warriors, which did come down to the wire. And they looked like they were in a stride that they needed to be heading into the All-Star break because the games get tougher for the Celtics, especially they're going to be on the road following the All-Star break. And it actually gets tough right before the All-Star break with Tuesday night's matchup against the Philadelphia 76ers, the new or revamped, once again, 76ers. So it doesn't get easier for this team. And it's been a bit of a disappointment because of the games that they dropped, especially games against the Lakers, games against the Clippers, two Los Angeles teams where they blew one game, an 18-point lead, and the next one they blew a 28-point lead, which by my estimation, was easily the worst loss of Brad Stevens' tenure. And this is just not the season where we expected to see something like that. So it's trying times for the Celtics right now. Luckily for them, they have enough cushion to keep them in the fifth seed right now. They have enough cushion between the fifth and the sixth. But if they're going to make a push at this, if they're going to make a run at this, they're going to need home court advantage. That's something that they're going to have to try to grab between now and the end of the regular season, and they're not making things easy for themselves.
So it seems like every time they take 2 steps forward, they take 3 steps back. And also with the home court advantage, we saw them last year in the playoffs. They won one playoff game on the road last season. So, yeah, they definitely need that home court advantage. Talk about the chemistry with this team. It seems like there's just so much drama with this team. It's like every other week someone's throwing somebody under the bus, a teammate calling out teammates. It's just, it doesn't seem like a unified group.
Yeah, it doesn't. Seems like almost the story of two halves every single night in and night out. It's been the dreadful third quarter has been the case for a lot of these losses, but for the most part, you're seeing guys that once they get down, it seems like the Celtics have enough to make a comeback, but then they can't succumb certain runs, and they really it's pretty much like a nosedive from there, or it's the other way around. Like we saw the last 2 games where they had this big lead, a team makes a run, they tie the game up or come within a point or two, and all of a sudden the Celtics think that they can make up that 18-point lead or double-digit lead that they had on one possession. They're rushing shots, not passing as much. What Marcus Morris said after Saturday night's game, I think he nailed it in the sense that this team is he sees a bunch of individuals instead of a team. And that's exactly been that was the narrative, especially the first couple of months of the season. And now we turn back and we're like, oh, okay, we're back to this again. And this is the wrong time to have that sort of identity, when we're all in the second half of the regular season.
And also another issue is Kyrie Irving's health. This has been his career. I don't think he's ever played an entire season. He's always, every time the Celtics are making strides with him in the lineup and he's playing great basketball, it seems like an injury happens and then it's back to the starting gates with him. So what is his future looking like with the Celtics? Because there's so many speculations happening of what's going to happen after this season.
It's looking murky. It's tough because someone of his caliber, a guard who relies heavily on his dribble, I don't think it's groundbreaking take that he easily has the best handles in the NBA, and he relies on that heavily. So when you hear about knee injuries, especially this one, which is the opposite knee that he had repaired during the offseason, it's a troubling sign. In terms of his future in Boston, that's a whole other story. Whether the Anthony Davis situation plays a part here, whether Kyrie Irving reaches a point on July 1st where he decides that this isn't the team that he wants to play out the next 3 or 4 years, which probably is towards the end of that contract, I have to say, would probably be a decline in someone like Kyrie Irving. I know it sounds crazy to say that for someone who's well under 30, but that's sort of the history of point guards with knee issues. They don't tend to keep up with that high level of play after the age of 30. Those knee injuries tend to catch up. And Kyrie Irving's been battling these since his teenage years at Duke, you know. So this is troubling in the sense that this is sort of the window that Danny Ainge and Celtics envisioned to have Kyrie Irving as the centerpiece. I do believe they still want to make a run for Anthony Davis. That's still part of the plan. They want to put these two guys together and within this 3 or 4 year window win championships and then figure things out after that. However, the Anthony Davis part is obviously a big piece here, and if that ultimately doesn't get done, if the Celtics can't make a deal for someone like Anthony Davis, then Kyrie Irving, I mean, there's a good chance he won't stick around, and then, you know, the Celtics will have to take a step back. But at the end of the day, though, it wouldn't be the absolute worst thing in the world. Obviously, it's not ideal, but the Celtics, because of what Danny Ainge has been able to pull off the last 3 or 4 years, has a handful of assets that he can use. He has a handful of young players, young stars, Jason Tatum being one of them. It's just that it's one of those situations where if the Celtics were to trade for Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving leaves anyways, that's where you're in a tough spot because it's going to take a lot of those assets to get someone like Anthony Davis. And without Kyrie Irving, let's face it, Anthony Davis is most likely not going to stick around past next season, and then you don't have much after that.
And lastly, before we get out of here, two guys in particular I want to talk about, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown, his season, these two guys, up and down seasons. Jaylen Brown started off, he had a stretch where he was just playing horrible basketball. Then he had a stretch of playing great basketball. The consistency with these two seems to not be there on a night-in, night-out basis. Jason Tatum, I think sometimes he relies too much on the jumper. Actually, both of them rely too much on the jumper when they could use their athleticism to get to the basket and get easier shots. I don't think they do that enough.
Drives you crazy, doesn't it? I mean, it drives me nuts, especially someone like Jason Tatum, or actually both of them. They both have the speed to get to the rim, but Jason Tatum is a special scorer in the sense that he's really tough to defend because of the different ways he can score. And I just see someone like Jason Tatum as a scorer who's capable to get 11, 12, 13 free throws a night, and you just don't see that. He almost never comes close to taking close to double digits attempts at the free throw line, and it's a concern. You know, it's today's NBA in the sense that people tend to settle on the jump shot, and you know they don't lean on their athleticism. And Jaylen Brown, in a sense, especially lately in the last month or so, he's been leaning towards the other way. You know, he's trying to get to the basket more. He's doing his best to sort of find his offense in different ways, but especially with putting the ball on the floor. But it's been really tough for him to make the adjustment from going to the starting lineup to the second unit. You know, now that he's alongside someone like Gordon Hayward. Gordon Hayward does have the ball a lot throughout the stretches of the offense. Maybe he's not particularly looking to score every time, but he's sort of been that secondary playmaker for the Celtics, and he has that ball in his hand a lot. So it's kind of tough for those two to coexist with each other when they're usually on the floor at the same time, or they're sharing each other's minutes. So it's been a tough stretch, but Jaylen Brown, to his credit, I mean, he's really, this last month or so, he's really focused in on doing other things to stay on the floor on the defensive end as well as the offense. So, I mean, hopefully they can find some consistency because those two players are going to be very important, especially if Kyrie Irving turns out to miss a handful of the next 15 to 20 games or so, where they're really going to need to make that push and break the top 4 seeds in the Eastern Conference.
All right, Jose, we got to get out of here. Lastly, if they want to follow you, where can they reach you?
You can follow me at Joe_Sway on Twitter. I appreciate that. Again, it's at Joe_Sway.
Man, that's been Josue Pavon, writer for WEEI. Thank you once again, sir. We'll catch you down in the playoffs. All right, guys, you've been watching Plus One, and we're done.